finger and index finger and do the horned frog weird rally cry.
Horned frogs. Well, you know what? I don't feel the confidence in the Horned Frogs. They're going up against an Ole Miss team that just beat Mississippi State, a team with a very capable offense and a very capable quarterback. Ole Miss has the best defense in the country, bar none. Going up against TCU, they can do pretty well. I mean, sure, TCU is the second best offense, but they're not playing in a conference known for their defensive abilities. Ole Miss went up against some pretty good football teams, was able to shut them down. I just don't think this matches up well for TCU. I think their defense their offense is quite explosive, but I think they're going to get shut down by this Ole Miss football team. I think Bo Wallace leads them to the victory, barring Hugh Freeze asking him to throw it into double coverage at the very end of the game. They will pull out the victory, and I've got this at 25 confidence. You know what? I think College Football Committee got it right with the picks they made, and I think this game will help prove it.
Wow. So there's a 56-point swing between the nine.
Yes.
31 favor of Chiefs, 25 favor of Ole Miss.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. That's a really big gap. All right. Moving on to the next game. It's the Fiesta Bowl. One of the, what was once a BCS Bowl. Now, a game between Boise State, the Group of 5 team that managed to get in, and a team that looked pretty good, led by Jay Ajayi, who is a terrific running back, going up against Anu Solomon and the Arizona Wildcats. Scooby Wright. That's a great linebacker right there. And this will be a good game. This should be a good game. 10 versus 20. Maybe not as appealing as 6 versus 9, TCU versus Ole Miss. But Jake, can this game live up to the hype? And will it?
It absolutely will, because we are going to get our upset of the bowl season number 20 State Clemson with the victory, and I am so confident that I have put a whopping 2 points on that. But I do feel that they've been able to talk to people and just ask for and Bob Stoops knows that I'm well. We will see how that plays out. I have been Arizona play person who will handle them nicely. This game is Arizona. It should be a there the one, but they were just by Oregon. I didn't know they along with the big boys, and I think Boise State with the chance to prove that the group will just that 20th, right? Blue field of green. I don't know what the grass is. It's always green or something. Especially in the Fiesta for the Broncos.
All right. Next up, Mississippi State, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech lost.
Hey, who'd you pick?
Oh, you're right. I have to pick too. My picks matter. You know what? This is another matchup between one of the best defenses in the country and a very capable offense. Arizona is terrific defensively. Look, this team proved it all year. They're also good offensively. Who knew? They can keep it with the best of them. They won against Oregon the first game, of course. The second game got blown out. However, Boise State, I just don't think they're ready for this level. An Air Force team, I think Colorado State, great. They got prepared by them. But Colorado State was no match for Utah. Colorado State kept it close with Boise State. Arizona is a step above what these teams have played against. And no disrespect to the Group of 5, Arizona has had the experience in big game situations already. They've proven themselves in those games, and I think this team looks ready to go. I think Anu Solomon is a great quarterback. I think that this game will go to Arizona quite handily. I've got it at a confidence of 30.
It was impressive to see Arizona go into ISN Stadium and just manhandle the Utes, who are almost unstoppable when they're in the mountains. 42 is the final of that, including outscoring 21 with the final. They close out that game with the win of the book.
Yeah, you know what? This should be a good game. I think it'll be interesting. You know, this is the Group of 5's chance to really prove themselves. Now we can go on to Mississippi State and Georgia Tech. Took us a couple seconds. And a forgotten pick. But we're there. I'll start on this one. This is Dak Prescott up against a Georgia Tech team that, some people picked them to beat Florida State. Jameis Winston, he had different ideas, but they had their shots. Georgia Tech had their chances to win it and couldn't do it. But now, you know what? They're still a good team. 10-3, had a surprising year, picked up the win against Georgia. They beat Clemson, only 2 losses coming to Duke and North Carolina. But before that Florida State game, had won 5 in a row. They look like a pretty good team right now. But I just don't see them beating Mississippi State. Once again, Mississippi State's defense 9th in the country and the 14th best offense. This is a team that plays well on both sides of the ball. Georgia Tech runs the ball a lot. Their passing game, not quite up there. Look, what Mississippi State's going to do is they're just going to commit against the run. They're going to make them pass, and that's not something Georgia Tech does well. And I think at the end of the day, it hurts Georgia Tech's offense and allows Mississippi State to put the ball in Dak Prescott's hand to lead them to the victory. And I have Mississippi State winning at a confidence of 34.
I too have Mississippi State winning. This is that dynasty. Bias, I don't know what it means and it does for me. It's impressive. It's notable, for sure, especially how close they came to Florida. And they beat the SEC in Georgia, but I don't think that Georgia, Mississippi State is not an enemy. 7th ranked Mississippi over 12th ranked, 49 points on the video.
Alrighty then. Next up, it's time, boys. We've reached the day we've all been waiting for. But that doesn't mean you get the picks that you've all been waiting for first. No, you have to listen to Auburn, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Baylor, and Missouri, Minnesota before you get to listen to the games that you've actually been waiting for. So we will start. By the way, here's a quick question. And I understand that you have to space these games out to a certain extent. But they have 3 great games going on at exactly the same time. They have 30 minutes between the games. Auburn, Wisconsin, 11. Michigan State, Baylor, 11:30. Missouri, Minnesota, 12. There's 30 minutes difference between the games. How am I supposed to watch that?
Is that Central?
It's Eastern. Or the time is Central, yes. That's Central, but it's 12 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, God. So those games are 9 a.m.
But here's the thing. They all did it because they wanted to give space for Florida State and Oregon. And I understand they wanted to make this as great of a day as they possibly could. But I would have pushed the game back. Put a game between the 2 games to keep interest up. Put a game out during Kansas State, UCLA. How about move to...
How dare you?
Okay.
How dare you?
Move Missouri, Minnesota, and Michigan State, Baylor to Friday. Make it so it's 3 straight days of amazing bowls. Wouldn't that be even better? 3 straight days, 3 amazing bowls. That'd be so much fun.
I agree wholeheartedly.
We'll see. We'll see what they decide to do next year when they rotate bowls. You know what? It's gonna be sad. The Rose Bowl won't be a semifinal.
That'll be tragic.
I've always felt like it should be, but
it's the granddaddy of them all.
It is the granddaddy of them all. Guess what's not the granddaddy of them all? The Outback Bowl. The Outback Bowl. Great transitions for a great show. Auburn and Wisconsin. Well, to put it nicely, they lost to Ohio State. They tried. They put an effort. To be candid, they lost 59-0 and were severely outplayed. Now, well, they're going to be going with a coach that hasn't coached them, going up against Auburn, a team who still has Gus Malzahn, who still has Nick Marshall, who still has Cameron Artis-Payne, but who lost to Auburn. Or not, who lost to Texas A&M? They lost to themselves. That's probably true. One of the big reasons they probably struggled this year is because they lost to themselves, to be perfectly honest. They committed lots of turnovers that were silly mistakes. But this is still going to be an intriguing game because whatever game Melvin Gordon's in, you want to see how he's going to do. His draft stock may have fallen a little bit after that game. This is a chance for him to prove himself once again. And I'm going to start. Auburn has had a weird season. They started off hot, beat Kansas State, they beat LSU, they lost to Mississippi State then after that, but then they picked up the win over Ole Miss, and then they lost to Texas A&M and Georgia, before beating Samford in a game that I'm pretty sure everybody picked Samford. And then Alabama defeated them 55-44. They had chances. They just couldn't get it done. On the other hand, you have Wisconsin, a team that I was impressed with. I was impressed with up until the Ohio State game. They lost to Northwestern, but after that they started to win. They started to pick up momentum, and then they lost to Ohio State in thrashing. And that makes it hard to pick this team to win the game. And I've been going back and forth between this pick. There's a lot of Big Ten love here, but I just couldn't do it. I don't see this team beating Auburn. I just don't think that they really have the team to do it. I mean, sure, Auburn isn't as good defensively, but they're still a really good defense. And they've got a great offense to go alongside it. I think that Auburn pulls it out, not to mention Wisconsin's going to be with a new coach. I think that gives you a whole new dynamic, and I think that's what hurts Wisconsin, and that's the killer blow. But I'm not super confident about this. I've only got 18 confidence points, but Auburn does win this game. Jake?
Yeah, I am wavering on my confidence, but not my pick. What we saw from Wisconsin was absolutely pathetic in that 59-0 fashion. Again, a new coach doesn't help at all. So when it comes to picking Auburn, even though they're 19th ranked, Wisconsin's 18th ranked, I'm comfortable with Gus Malzahn. It was very impressive to put up against Alabama. They just scored, not finished. So I will take Auburn. My confidence as of right now is 30. That's probably going to be changing in the very near future.
It would make sense. You know what? It's a game that there's been some different kinds of confidence levels on. The average confidence for Auburn is 27, but one of the big reasons of that is because people just forget to set their confidence. We will see. Jake has left and joined the group chat, and he will be back now, hopefully with slightly better signal. But we can move on to the next game. You know what? This game is once again a game where we have the chance to see whether or not the college football playoff is right. And they are. They are. Michigan State has the no-fly zone, and they will shut down Bryce Petty. It's not easy to do. And maybe they won't shut him down, but they will hold him back. Baylor is the best offense in the country. They have the passing offense. They play a hard-nosed football. Not to mention, they're also the 7th best offense in the country. So you know what? There's a difference here. You got Baylor, who's a is too much for Baylor. The physicality. Baylor hasn't played a team that's quite as physical as Michigan State. I give TCU credit, but they are not Michigan State. Michigan State, of course, will be without their defensive coordinator, who is now the head coach of Pitt. But it's still the same defense. Shalik Calhoun, Trey Waynes, and Curtis Drummond. It's a tough team to throw against, and I guarantee you Baylor's going to want to throw it. I don't know if they can do it successfully. It's not an easy task. It's a stingy defense. And Michigan State's a dream crusher. Stanford knows it. Ohio State knows it. Lots of teams know it. I got Michigan State in this one.